Yeah.
Yeah, now you get a turtle and you guard break them, riposte them, they fall down, and because you know they're scared, they're gonna hold their
Yep.
shield up and walk away. As soon as they start to get up, you do another guard break, you hit them, you get another guard break riposte, they're
Yep.
dead. It's
Yeah.
it's a lovely cycle. I love it. It's good, but it shouldn't really do as much damage as it does.
I mean, yeah,
Honestly.
it could do. They could just make it an instant guard break, like make it a one-hit guard break, but just don't do a critical. Just hit them.
Or even with the animation, I
Yeah.
think just don't do 1,800 points of damage. Just do my base AR against their defenses plus 20%, like a normal
Sure.
stagger. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So toggling.
Getting back to the player thing. I mean, I think I never liked the whole weapon swap. Was the sort of way to toggle. And I realized it was sort of an accident that was in the game in the
Right.
first place, but like just as like people say, add it back in. It's like, well, that was kind of dumb to begin with. So let's try to find
It
a
was a
real
glitch.
solution that they could do. Yeah, I mean, it was a glitch. So I think something that makes it more difficult for players to do, because my first instinct was to be like, okay, put it on the circle button, but make it the backstep animation to when you're stunned. So
I tried that for the longest time. I swear to God, I thought they would have put some sort of like faux toggle-esque thing in there. So I experimented for the longest time. I discovered the backstep parry and the roll parry and stuff like that without even really watching any videos or anything like that, because I was just fucking around with button combinations, because you can do all kinds of weird things with the backstep. You can do like a feint with your swing. You can like half swing and all this kind of stuff.
Spells,
Spells,
too.
and it's just kind of like there's got to be something in there. There's got to be some trick in there that.
yeah, Seraphim and Spades like to do all those things with the backstep.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, I think a good solution would be adding it to X, because you don't need that button for fucking anything unless it's like a select this, select that. But then I'm thinking, well, messages, but then messages don't pop up when you're getting smacked by a weapon. So I think X would be a good solution. Because, I mean, if you think about triangle, that's two-handing your weapon, that's kind of dumb. Square, the fuck is square used for? Oh, using items. I mean, none of the other ones would work, and I think X would be like a perfect, especially since your instinct is to go for the circle button and roll away. So it would still be that conscious effort of, press X.
Yeah,
and
I'm gonna tank
and
this hit, but if it works, I'm not gonna get stunned.
Yeah, and still add the specific, like, fucking fraction little bitch of a frame that you got to toggle in the first game. Like, don't make it like a core mechanic to where, like, I don't know, in some games they have, like, action games, you have, like, you get knocked down and then you hit this button and you flip back up like you're fucking Spider-Man. Like, don't do that, like, don't make it that forgiving, but, like, the exact same timing as the first Dark Souls. And, I liked how iffy the glitch is with certain weapon, classes in the first one. So, like, you couldn't toggle at the exact same time you would for an Ultra Greatsword as you would for a Ultra Curve Sword? Is that what it's
Great
called?
sword.
Like
Curved Greatsword. Yeah.
Curved Greatsword. God damn. Mind blank. Yeah, so differentiating by weapon class and stuff, I think that'd be really cool. I mean, obviously everyone liked it pretty much in Dark Souls 1, or the hardcore PvP guys did, and I think just fucking stick it on the X button. I mean, I don't know what the animation would be, per se.
It would be pretty slick if there was some mechanic. I don't know how it would be implemented. If it'd be like your success was tied to a stat, or if it was just something implemented in the game. I'm not uncrazy about that idea. But I mean, regardless of what I kind of envision this thing as being like, the next hit, you sort of recover. So you get hit by the first one, you kind of recover, and then the next one becomes like a glancing blow, to where it just sort of, you're able to like partially deflect it or partially get out of the way or something like that.
That's actually good. I didn't think of that. You shouldn't be able to do the quote-unquote toggle, whatever it could be, on the first hit. Because I fucking hate when people got so fucking good at it. People like Ein and
pre-toggle
Matt
and
yeah, like they toggle through the first hit and they go for the BS, and Ein is fucking, God, that dude is so fucking ruthless. Oh my God. So ruthless. Yeah, I never like the first hit, because then it's like, why am I even attacking? I might as well just try and circle for the BS so you get it before me. So I think that not being an issue on the first hit, don't have that like I don't know the way to word it. Like it becomes sort of like a mystery to the person who plans on toggling to be like, are they going to keep attacking, or are they going to roll away, or are they going to use a spell? Like, it becomes sort of a mystery for both sides, rather than in Dark Souls 1 where it was like, oh, I'm going to toggle this hit, and the other guy just doesn't know what to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't be able to do it first, but that's my 2 cents. I mean, I definitely think there should be a solution that is player-controlled, based on skill, alleged skill, whatever video games require.
No stat involvement whatsoever.
Yeah, no stat involvement.
Okay,
and here's my solution for the fucked up rolling system. I'm not, no, hang on. I'm not even gonna tackle invincibility frames. The roll itself, I think, is fucking sloppy. I don't like the timing of how it exists. Not even the roll frames. I'm not even, or the iframes. Not even talking about those. Can we just please go in the code in your little game and do, was it times 1.3 in there and speed it up 30%? Just make it quicker. That's all I ask. Just fucking roll distance, I think is great. I think it's fucking great, controlled by equip burden. I think it's fucking awesome. Just the animation just looks like shit, and it doesn't play well with the game. That's the thing. Like, its design. Like, I don't think it complements the gameplay at all. I don't think rolling, like, it's meant to be a reactionary, like, I gotta get the fuck out of here, roll button out. Not like, oh, gonna baby steps, crawl to the fucking roll, and like, up, gotta get up. Oh, okay, I'm up now.
Forward somersault. I'm okay, kind of smack.
Yeah, it reminds me of what they did with the Great Heal thing.
Oh.
I have no problem with the rolls whatsoever.
I hate you.
I don't have as much of a problem with the roll as I used to, because like when I first started, I was like, shit, this is not like Demon Souls, this is not like Dark Souls. It's not as fast as I wanted it to be. Even when I increase my adaptability to 99, it doesn't do anything. What the fuck from? But as I've gotten used to it, and as I've done the low level stuff, I've started to appreciate the fact that it doesn't make that much of a difference. It looks aesthetically different. I don't necessarily like the difference. I have no problem with the roll itself at the moment, but I don't particularly like how it looks. That's the only thing I've got wrong with it personally.
The animation?
Yeah. I don't like how slow and tumbly it looks. It looks horrid, I think, personally.
Yeah. I think like a overall blanket statement I could put on the game is don't ever mocap anything again, because your guys are bad. The mocap in the game, all the animations, they look fucking awful. And God, I'm not even gonna get into the gestures. Dude, me and you today, no. We're not having it.
Disagree completely. So I like the rolls. I like the rolls a lot, and I like the fact that the leap is your dodge. The initiation of the roll is your dodge. You are not this phantom for the entire duration of throwing yourself into the air, arcing, landing, getting up, and you were just completely impervious through that whole thing. I like the fact.
But you're not.
No, you're not. I know. I like that.
You weren't in the old games.
No, you weren't. Like my biggest differentiation between this game and Dark Souls 1 was the iframes are a lot later than the first game. Like, that's really the only thing I noticed. I mean, yeah, they're shorter, but I mean, you weren't.
No, that's in this game. They're a lot later. You mean? Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
so
like
it's sort of.
Well, no, it's not the launching of the roll. It's like almost like right before you hit the ground. Like that's why I don't like that's half the reason why I feel it's sloppy, because it's like, oh, I took a hit and then I'm slowly getting.
I'm
back
sorry.
up.
That's what I meant by like the leap is the dodge. So it's sort of like when you are in midair jumping over the swing, like at the peak of the arc your character makes. That is when you are dodging.
Right, yeah.
And I think
Yeah, I do like that.
And I think that's cool. I think that's realistic.
Mm-hmm. I don't think you could. I don't think you should be able to do that for vertical swings, but or that it's realistic. That it's realistic for vertical swings.
But I mean, that's other. The reality only goes so far.
Yeah.
I remember very fondly fighting Flame Lurker and rolling directly into an explosion because I knew the moment I pressed the circle button, I was invulnerable. And I knew that the hitbox for that explosion went outwards, but it didn't cover like the inside of the dome of the explosion, you know? So you could just sort of roll straight into it, and it didn't feel very realistic at all. Like, they could be doing these huge swipes, but as long as you pressed circle at the right time, you would roll against, you know, their blade or their claws or whatever, and you take no damage at all because you hit circle at the right time. And it just looked like you took a step forward and then you started to roll. Whereas with the Dark Souls 2 roll, your invulnerability frames are usually while you're actually in the air in the process of rolling away from something.
I think it adds a lot more finesse. It adds a lot more timing. Mm-hmm. You can't just iframe everything willy-nilly. I actually kind of dig that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there, and I think it's odd that I never thought it was more appropriate to have the Darkwood Grain Ring in a Souls game. I felt like Dark Souls 1 was so iframey that it was so unnecessary, and this, I think would be a good addition, especially with the 4 ring slots and stuff. I mean, you'd have to really moderate, like, the animation on like how many iframes. Like, it'd have to be not as huge, like not the 7-frame boost you got in the last game. Like, it'd have to be like an extra 3 or whatever. Because now that you have 4 ring slots, you'd probably see it potentially more often if it was the same, but less, you know, whatever. But I'm finding the rings more and more useful as I play. That's the thing. I was really disappointed initially, but I'm finding like I don't know if I'm getting more reliant on their effects, but like I'm a big fan of the Steel Protection Ring, which no one gave a shit about in the first game. The Chloranthy Ring, which I adored in the first game, but ultimately I had to sacrifice it, you know. So I'm glad I actually get to use it now. I hate all the fucking shitty auras that they added, so I can't even see what Fashion Souls I have on, but you know. Yeah, I like the rings. I'm warming up to them, I guess. And some of the things, like, the game is still new, and I know, like, the outlash, or rather, the backlash the community gave, in its early stages, I don't like when people tell me, or I see anyone saying, oh, you don't like something because it's different. Or rather, different than the first game. But I think to an extent, some of those statements are true because I think I like a lot of things in Dark Souls 2, that I initially thought were bad. I'm warming up to them. Like when you go from Dark Souls to Demon Souls, like if you go back, it's like you said in the Hero, like you said in the discussion video with Abyss Gravelord, like when you went back to Demon Souls, you didn't like, it was different, but you didn't hate anything. And I think I'm slowly starting to feel that way with some of the things in Dark Souls 2, and I'm recognizing that some of them I don't think will ever be fixed, and I'm sort of making, like that's why I feel like this video is appropriate right now, because I'm in the process of making that differentiation right now, after, you know, we just, like, completed our co-op playthrough, so I've had a lot of experience over and over and over again trying to beat bosses over and over and stuff. So I feel like my exposure recently to the game and all of, you know, all it has to offer as far as mechanics, equipment, all that stuff, has rapidly increased. So my opinions are changing, and I think, like, the shit I'm gonna spit out about the game, you know, whether it's, you know, been recently, right now, or, you know, in the coming few weeks, are probably going to be more of my set in stone ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you guys or where I was going with that, but
I think sorry.
No, I was actually going to say I'm curious to see how you guys think about that. Like what your like if your ideas will change or if your thoughts, what's set in stone. What do you think you're warming up to?
A lot of my ideas already have changed, like specifically with regards to the role itself. Like I fucking hated it at first, but then after spending some quality time, some intimate time with Lost Sinner, I got to know it, and I realized that it does have that component of skill that I really like, and I do like it a lot more than I used to. And it's not just the game's hitboxes being screwy, which admittedly there are a few hitboxes that are fucking screwy, but it was like with parrying when I first started the game. I was like, oh, well, parrying isn't so bad because, these enemies, they have some slow attacks, and if you can see that the slow attack is coming, then you can hit parry with a small shield, and occasionally you'll get it if you timed it right, and, I was pretty happy with that, but then you move on a little bit further into levels, things start hitting much faster, like with the rogues and the huntsman's cops, and you're like, some of these attacks are just impossible to fucking parry with a small shield. Yes.
Yeah. Especially with how hard they hit. Like, the game takes a massive jump when you get to Earthen Peak, I feel like. Takes a massive jump in damage-wise, damage output from the enemies. But go ahead.
But I've been kind of warming up to not the parry with the small shield and the medium shield and stuff, but finding out that the scimitars, the curved swords and stuff, have a much faster parry, and the monastery scimitar in particular is practically instant. And I do like the fact that it's not like Dark Souls where if you had a small or a medium shield, you could parry with impunity. It's all right. You can react to fucking everything if you've got the reaction time, and you can parry everything and you'll be fine. But with the scimitar, you can do that, but you sacrifice the ability to shield at all, and I really like that, personally.
Yeah, I feel like a good balance for if they're going to keep the monastery scimitar, or maybe even I feel like that effect should be added to all of the curved swords, seeing how that's such a dex thing to move around quick and parry, and that's sort of like the aggressive style of dual wielding and all that. I really like it. I feel a good way to balance that is when you're going for the parry, since it's so viable, is to no longer take partials. Like, there's not a partial hit. You take the whole fucking hit, maybe even a counter hit.
Oh, definitely.
I think that'd be a good way to balance it if they intend to keep it like that. I mean, assuming the monastery thing was even intentional, I'm not even sure on that. I don't think anyone is.
Yeah, and on fuck words, English. On the monastery scimitar in particular, the backstep parry, I think that has to be taken out.
Obscene.
I think the lingering frames are a bug. They shouldn't be there. If you backstep, you should cancel all of those frames. They never happened. Fuck you for people who think that they can backstep and parry at the same time. I've tried it. I've done it. I think it's too easy because I'm shit at parrying online. I should not be able to do it without some, great prediction. I shouldn't just be able to backstep through everything.
And
I would have gotten hit if I just stood there to parry. But seeing as I parried and pressed the backstep button, I get invulnerability. If I hit the parry, they fall down, I get massive damage. If I didn't hit the parry, well, then I just backstep and parry again, don't I?
Yeah, I think that's a bug for the worse. Whereas toggle was probably a bug for the better good. So maybe they never patched it, they just kind of left it in. Whereas, the backstep parry, or like, God help you, the roll parry is just obscene. I mean, it is that, I feel, more than any of the deliberate changes that they made, or just fuck-ups that they made, like, that's just broken. They need to just fix that. Like, that is bad code in the game that needs to be remedied.
Yeah, like toggling increased what I felt was tactical diversity. I really liked it. I liked that toggling was basically something that I never got the hang of because I never spent the time with it, and I felt like, well, these people can toggle all my stuff. Good for fucking them because they spent time on it. I can't do it. I don't have that tool at my disposal. This feels wrong.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it should be there because it doesn't make sense at all. I mean, toggling itself doesn't make much sense, but at least there was a component of finesse. It's not just hitting two buttons at the same time, no matter what.
Yeah. Especially, I think toggling worked better because as much as I don't think it makes sense to have it on the directional buttons, you had to sacrifice your thumb on that left stick unless you were playing Claude, you know.
Yes, yes.
So you weren't able to depend on the toggle while spamming roll because your left stick wasn't being touched, so it wouldn't have done anything. But yeah, they need to fucking do something about that. I mean, it's hard to tell what was intentional and what wasn't because so much shit just isn't making sense, and we're sort of accepting some and rejecting some. So it's hard to sort of sift through all the bullshit.
I don't think that was not intentional.
Well, no,
yeah. Okay.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, some you can tell, some wasn't, but that's just fucked up. Like, there's no, and this is sort of like a Hail Mary for shit to get patched. I mean, not that we intended to be like, hey, From, look at me, patch all this stuff. But I mean, we got Beast Souls 420 Blazed Edition being worked on soon, or being worked on now, or whatever. So, and
allegedly,
I remember a while. Yeah, well, yeah. I remember a while ago, I was in a group tweet thing with Jay Carty, the community manager of Namco Bandai, and Choco Mayhem, shout out, bro, my Irish motherfucking guy. And we were talking, and he fucking Choco always messages or tweets at Jay Carty when he has something to complain about, like he works for From, which is weird. I found it funny, but so he tweeted something that he thought should be fixed, and Jay Carty responded with something like, maybe I just read it as really ominous, but he said, I don't know, like what can be changed, what they will change, because From is really busy these days. And that just rang really weird to me. I'm like, okay, are we getting like another fucking Tenchu game? Or like Otage or Armored Core? Like, what is this shit? And From really busy, like that struck me as like, what are they working on?
Maybe they were busy being bought though.
Well, that doesn't require the whole dev team that would be required to put patches out.
Okay.
Bastard. Yeah, I hope some of it gets changed, and this isn't like the Call of Duty 7 right after Call of Duty 8 comes out, or the Xbox One right after, or the Xbox 360 after Xbox One comes out. Like, I hope none of it is just forgotten. And I realize companies get busy. Obviously, it's not going to be like, fuck you, From, for not caring about us. But see, the problem is, I think all three of us want to like this game a lot. Like, and I think to a certain degree, everyone wants any game they play to be perfect. And I know all three of us have accepted that it won't, and none of the Souls games were ever perfect, no matter how much we like them, because I don't think I've ever played a perfect game.
This was the B team too. I think that's clear now.
Yeah.
So you said you were you the visionary, said you were a Call of Duty fan. They do that, right? Like with every other release, they have like the two different studios, right?
They have Treyarch and Infinity Ward. Yeah,
they have Treyarch, Infinity Ward, and Sledgehammer now. Yeah, I wouldn't call the B team though. I would say, because they're not like, one wasn't better than the other. And From is one studio.
Sure.
I feel like what separates the Call of Duties is that like Infinity Ward is the more like mechanical, accurate, like the games lag less in my experience from them. Obviously, everyone's like, the fucking lag is horrible in Call of Duty. Lag was always fine for me. I feel like a lot of it's mechanic based, whereas Treyarch was a lot of it was creative based. Like they were the ones that gave us Nazi zombies and like the weird sort of like the point system in creating your classes, and like they kind of tweak with the more creative side walls. Yeah. So that differentiation is different from's just like, you've never worked on a Souls game. Do, this. Like, to be lead this in this game. Like, that just doesn't make any sense. I mean, I think the problem is, I think this is a good game, and I think, it's worth playing, but in spite of all that, I think this team and the director and all that ultimately we're just emulating what Miyazaki and the other guys did. I mean, all of it is an emulation. Like, it's not. That's why I always say, like, it's a great game, but it's a fucking shitty Souls game because it doesn't have the Miyazaki charm.
Soul.
Like, I'll use that. Yeah, I'll use that term over and over again. Like, it doesn't. There's something about the Miyazaki charm, and I think. And I've said this too before, but I think it was most present in Demon's Souls because that was the first in the series, and you have your most original ideas when, you know, it's the first game. Because when you make a second game, you're like, well, we can't do that anymore. And I feel like, again, this is a big part of where Dark Souls 2 suffered, because you have bosses like the Royal Rat Authority. Oh, you mean Sif with a bunch of fucktards without a sword that can do a bunch of bullshit attacks on you, you get frustrated and everything's shit? Because you're so used to the Sif fight, it's like...
Terrible boss.
But I saw... Odd thing is, I saw Only Afro on Twitter saying, like, yeah, I have friends that play Dark Souls 2 first, and they play Dark Souls 1, and they think Sif is an easy, shitty boss, and they like the Royal Rat Authority. So, I mean, we do have a sort of bias playing the games. I mean, I guess we don't, because we're playing them in the correct order, whereas the other people aren't. So I think we have better, more firm ground to stand on, but, like, that all adds to this is an emulation thing, and we want to see original stuff. Like, we want a new Souls experience, and that sort of goes off the whole, like, Dark Souls 2 thing. I never, like, from the very beginning, even after Dark Souls came out and I was in love with it, I'm like, I fucking know. Like, they better not make a Dark Souls 2. Like, I want, you know, Dragon Souls, Dead Souls, whatever, and we got Dark Souls 2, obviously. And I hope this all leads to, like, From and Namco Bandai are really good at listening to the community and stuff. I don't know about doing, you know, but I know for a fact they listen. And I hope this adds towards their next game to be like, okay, they like this in 1, they didn't like this in 2, they like this in 2, and they didn't like this in 1. Like it all, they're sort of writing down notes of pros and cons of what they did, because ultimately it adds to a list, you know, their works, you know, like they have to have compiled a list of, like, feedback from fans, you know, what they should do, what people, because, I mean, that's how you make a fucking better game. Like, that's game design 101. And I hope this, you know, what we like, what we dislike, I hope it all goes to, well, we know it won't be in the next game if it was a bad decision. And this was a good one, so we hope to see it improve in the next game, because I hate hearing the fucking, oh, elemental weapons are overpowered. Well, that was a problem in Dark Souls 1 too, so don't worry about it. That is a big fucking problem, because From is not learning from their mistakes, and they're, like, that's not innovation. That's fucking being idiots and doing the exact same thing you didn't, like, way to spend, like, thousands and thousands of dollars to patch something that was wrong in the first game that you should have been like, oh yeah, they didn't like that before. Like, I don't get that mentality.
It's puzzling that that particular thing with the elemental weapons having scaling, where elemental weapons having scaling was patched out in the first game.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell? Like, it doesn't make sense at all.
It leaves you speechless. Like, literally.
Yeah, you're like, how?
You know what it seems? So to me, it seems like with all the changes they made in terms of, you know, directors and lead creatives and things like that, and probably just the dev team too, like all the different names you see, the team that made this game was not in love with the first game. They didn't get it. They, you know, probably played through it a couple of times in PvE and got invaded a couple times and like, wow, this is a really cool mechanic. And they probably, you know, thought, wow, this is really hard. And they got like that same surface impression that a lot of the reviews get of it that don't really get the game or understand the soul of the franchise. And they took and amplified a lot of those elements. And they probably had some out of context feedback from the first one about maybe griefing, and they needed to deal with scaling. And maybe they just failed. But it really seems to me like the team that put this together just doesn't get it. They were not playing this game for 2 years. They were not playing Demon's Souls for for years and years and years, and they just didn't have the passion and the heart for it. And they, emulation, I think, is a great word. They sort of saw what people said on the surface about the first two, and they were like, it's really hard. Let's make it hard. How do we make it hard? Throw in a lot of enemies. And I think...
And that one in particular, the difficulty thing, I mean, if you listen to, like, any Miyazaki interview or From interview in general that addresses the difficulty of the games, Miyazaki fucking first sentence out of his mouth is, it's never the point of the game to be difficult. Whereas in this game, I felt like that was fucking driven at your face. Like,
you get
they were
a trophy
gunning
for
your
it.
fucking throat. Yeah. Difficulty is not the point of a Souls game. Like, why is this... What? I don't know, like... On one hand, I always wanted more enemies, just in general in the game, not necessarily like how they did it in boss fights or whatever, but I think that's just something you crave naturally, like, give me more things to kill. So, yeah. I get the whole, like, mentality, maybe someone, was like-minded in me, or as me, thinking that, but that was never the fucking point. Like, it's not hard to be hard.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead. I know.
Well, no, and I was going to say, like, that one of the things that I have been able to put my finger on, but I can't point at exactly why, so I'm like halfway there. Like, this playing through this game, it doesn't have the heart that Dark Souls did. It doesn't have the heart that Demon Souls did. It just, something about it feels off. Something about it just doesn't feel the same. I don't sit around at night dreaming up builds or dreaming about what I did wrong in last night's session of PvP, and here's how I'm going to fix it tomorrow. It's just kind of like, we're going to play this game, and it just feels kind of hollow. Like, it just doesn't have the same stickiness. It's absolutely missing the je ne sais quoi that the first two did. And I think, like, there's no other word that I can really think of it except for, like, heart or soul. I'm gonna go with soul because it's also a play on the name.
I would agree with you, and I say the answer is because we don't have sheaths anymore.
Wow. Oh. Wow.
No,
where does your black steel katana go, Justin? Where's it go?
How am I supposed to perform Iajutsu if I'm not pulling it out of the sheath? Because that's kind of the technique required for using that moveset. And, I mean, I could use my hand, and then, I'd be missing fingers afterwards, but kind of need a sheath to do that, guys. Come on. I mean, I know you like the cloth physics a lot, but I don't think it was worth the sheath sacrifice, to be honest with you.
No. I love the cloth physics. I love how like the skirts and stuff don't look like they're fucking glued to your knees anymore.
Yeah.
But I want my sheaths back. I liked how having, like, when I was doing my painting guardian stuff fucking ages ago, I liked that there were two painting guardian sword sheaths on your waist while you had the swords out. It looked cool. Like, if you did a dual washing pole build,
you looked like a spider.
But you were like, yeah, but you had these gigantic sheaths coming off your back, and it looked awesome, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then it's just one of those things that's like, it's a small detail, but I'm not going to say it adds up to the soul, but it adds up to a small part of, it's one of those things that made you go,
a devil details thing.
That's cool. The tiny details that make people go, oh, why is that not here anymore? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
That's sort of a difference.
I think this game does a lot of small things to give you a disconnect with the world. There's not as much immersion in this. A lot of the elements seem superficial, is what I want to say. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but I mean, like, we have no sheaths. The characters, like the NPCs, they're not really. They're either not relatable or they're blatant, replicas of a character in a previous game. The lighting, I think, added to it.
The lighting that was taken away.
You know which character I liked?
What?
Oh, I was going to say the lighting that was taken away.
Yeah. I mean, it just added to the whole that dark sort of I don't know, the aesthetic of what area you were in. I mean, if something was dark and sort of daunting to go into. Like, I mean, if you look at that hallway in Aldia's Keep, looks like a fucking hallway. That's what it looks like. It's a hallway. It doesn't look like something's about to crash through the wall and there's not like you can see everything clearly above your head. It brings out the ugly textures that the game has. You know, you can't hide it with shadowing or with advanced shadowing or whatever.
Yep.
That's just more of an atmospheric aesthetic thing. I mean, but small things like that, I think, add to it. How the levels connect to each other. I have no fucking idea how Earthen Peak connects to Iron Keep. No idea. Yeah. But Earthen Peak is on the mountain, and if you look anywhere on the Earthen Peak in that tower, you can't see the Iron Keep anywhere. Like, none of it makes sense. Like, my favorite thing was seeing the Duke's archives in the Burg. Or, what was the Burg? The Parish. That was my favorite, like, aesthetically, like, sort of, where I got a sense of, like, I am in this world, was the fact that I could see other areas from somewhere else. And this, it's like, I feel like every area is contained, because I remember when we played the network test, my initial thoughts were, okay, these two bosses in these areas are connected very bad, and the level design here doesn't really mesh well with the level design here. So I think they copy and pasted, or cut and pasted, some areas together and connected them so players would just have, you know, a whatever, like a bigger area to test within. And that's not the case. Like, it just doesn't feel like this area should be next to here, or this should be, like, everything seems sort of disjointed and out of place.
Yeah, no, definitely. The only, like, point where I felt like it was, like, in the Burg, you know, we can see the Duke's archives, was when you're in Majula or a couple of other places, you can look up and you can see Drangleic Castle. That's kind of cool. I like that. It looks fucking ominous because, you know, for some reason it's always raining there.
Yeah,
at nighttime.
What
but yeah, it does feel a whole lot more disconnected than it used to. Like I said in the discussion video with Abyss Gravelord as well, I remember very fondly with the first game being able to run through the entire thing except for, you know, the loading screen between like the sequence between Sen's Fortress and Anor Londo. You run through the entire thing. You can go to anywhere without seeing a loading screen, providing you don't die. I really liked that. I liked how you felt like you were part of a world that was all connected. There were weaving, branching paths everywhere that kind of looped around to one another in like unsuspected ways. Like who thought that, you know, down the Valley of the Drakes would lead up into Darkroot Basin, and that the Darkroot Basin would lead up into the Undead Burg.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
masterfully designed.
It feels nice to walk around in, and like there are points in Dark Souls 2 that I have a problem with where I will try to walk around and I'll fall off a small ledge, and then there's no fucking way for me to get back up again. I can't get back to the first area, the first part of the area, without hitting a homeward bone or the feather, and I really like being able to just explore everywhere without going, oh fuck, well I can't get to some place because, oh wait, my character can't make a completely plausible, you know, jump.
Yeah, he can't pull himself up
onto a small ledge.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Lost Bastille.
And yeah, exactly.
That's the one that came to mind.
Once you like pass over that small ramp and fall in, your only chance is to use a homeward bone. That's just the only way you can get back, or you have to die. That's it.
So I just thought of something regarding the Iron Keep. Do you think they just fucked up the elevator animation and it was supposed to go down instead of up?
No. Have you looked at the 3D thing of I forget what it's called, the 3D like model of the entire world? Yeah. Things overlap. There's areas that literally cannot connect because there's another area that's supposed to exist in that same spot. Yeah. It was really poorly designed.
I mean, it would make sense that the elevator went down, right? Because supposedly the Iron Keep sank and it's in lava and...
Yeah, it goes down into the bottom of a mountain or something. I could understand that, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I mean, it's hard knowing. I know like there's a lot of collision map. That's
Okay.
what it's called.
I'll have to check it out.
the
I have
collision
not
map,
seen
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I think it's on
Okay.
Emerald's channel. I think.
Yeah, he put that up.
Yeah, and it's a mess. It's a fucking mess because I think he compares it to Dark Souls 1. I'm not sure. No, what was I gonna say? Oh, I felt a big part of it that I just realized was I actually had to do something with the story. Why you were so disconnected with it? It's because with the story, this being like familiar, like we've already been here. We're just here a lot later than we were in the first game. So there's not a whole lot of new. Like, I mean, I think everyone had the realization when they went to the Bastille that like, oh yeah, Crow's carrying me. Okay, I guess this is Undead Asylum. Like, it's the same thing. Like, there was no like plot reason to go there. I mean, like in the first, I mean, you had Oscar of Astora, you know, whatever. Like, you had reason to like use the Crow. Now it's just like, wasn't this carrying the Pursuer a second ago?
Now he's
wasn't
my friend.
Wasn't it? Yeah, wasn't it carrying him to follow me? Why is it randomly taking me to the Lost Bastille? Like, there was no reason. It was just like, oh, remember this from the first game? Yeah, we recycled it. Go there again so you realize it's the Undead Asylum. Like, a lot of it felt really gimmicky because it was so reliant on the first game as far as its setting goes.
I've thought about that too. Do you think that was an afterthought? Do you think maybe that explains some of the disjointedness and some of the collisions in the world is they had something completely different, and then somewhere late in development somebody said, wouldn't it be cool if this was Drang Lake? And then they like completely shifted areas around so that they overlap now, and then just kind of said, yeah, whatever, is Drang Lake. And because it does, like, the connections to Drang Lake do not ring true. It just seems bolted on, and it seems badly done. I think if they were going to really do that and really sink time into developing a compelling story, that this is all just one big cycle and your character in this game is a later incarnation of the character in the first game, they could have done a lot better job. This all just seems to be, yeah, it's similar enough, let's make it Drang Lake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I totally agree. I never like had any reason to think that thought. It never occurred to me, like, yeah, no, it seemed really like an afterthought.
Because it's a sequel.
Exactly.
Yay, sequels. Yeah, and I'll say it again, like, I was fucking hoping for, like, going to Baldur in Dark Souls 2, or, like, because they gave us so many, like, this world seems interesting in the first game, and they teased us, and I'm like, I want to see this shit. So it's like, not only, and that's another reason why I felt like the NPCs were shit in the second game, because, what do you call it? Okay, if Drang Lake is Lordran, then you had all the NPCs going like, oh, I'm from Mira, we're known for this. You know, it's like, that, like, I don't even know what area that coincides with in the first game now, because that world wasn't known for that before. That world, like, you have no idea. And I don't know.
Completely.
Like, it wants to relate to its predecessor, and then it does everything it can to keep you not interested by all the info that would back it. You know what I mean?
On like individual NPC, like which ones I don't like versus which ones I like.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the cat, Sweet
Shalaqua. Yeah.
Shalaqua. She is, I really like her. She's just creepy. She knows things for some reason. And she's just nice and weird, and she's a vendor. I like her character because, like, she's a fucking talking cat. She's just
terrible
there,
reason.
and that's fine. I really like it. I don't know, I really like it. And the only other NPC that I even remotely liked, I know you're partial to Stride, Justin.
Strayed, yeah.
Strayed.
Strayed.
But I liked Morlun, or at least his small character arc, where he was really timid and nice to you, and then he started, you paid him some souls, and he started getting a little bit more cocky. And then he's like, oh, well, if you can afford my shit, I guess you can buy it, And then at some point, if you talk to him after you've bought practically everything from him, I think it's like 16,000 souls or something, he starts to go, yeah, I'm making it big. Now I can, where am I from? Who am I? That sort of a thing. And I was like, oh shit, he's lost, like this guy that I knew at the start of the game isn't here anymore. He's lost part of himself. I really like that. I think that was the best written character.
Lore-wise, that's pretty creepy too, right? Because so the whole thing about how if you have a goal, it'll prevent you from going hollow. He had a goal and he got his whole goal and he's still going hollow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And in the same ways, while that arc was cool with Mullen, I felt that Lucatiel's was better in the exact same way. Watching her,
I thought she was great.
Well.
When she tells you that it's like, I would kill you in a second, man, if that would kill the curse, you're kind of dear.
With the right sort of camera angles and stuff, like if that was a cinematic, like I could have got the chills easy from some of her dialogue. Like she was really cool in some parts, and I think actually I don't think anyone's ever fucking talked about it, but I think the dialogue, like the actual dialogue, was really well written for like everyone in the game. Like the words they spoke, none of it came off as cheesy. None of it came off as like.
I felt like everyone was really good except for the Emerald Herald.
Yeah. No! Emerald Herald was pretty terrible.
I thought she was like, and one day you will be here, without ever really knowing why.
Well,
and now you must go.
It was like
oh good,
the
you've got the souls.
second Matrix dialogue.
Yeah, seek bigger souls. Oh. Thank you for seeking souls. I am also a dragon.
Exactly.
Thank you for beating the game. Yeah.
I like that though. I like how she was really like, she did not talk a lot. Like she was super to the point. Like she.
What point was that?
No. Like
to the point.
her sentences were like quick, concise, but it was concise in a way to where she was telling you what she wanted to say really quickly, like bluntly. But she was being really ominous at the same time, and you didn't. There was always some sort of like, it got in your imagination of what she meant, even though she was saying really quick, short things. And I like the fact that she was really soft spoken. I think they really got the right voice actress for her.
I really like the voice actress. I hate her fucking dialogue.
The voice, she's fucking sexy.
Yeah, I think a lot of the voice acting was good. I didn't like any of the NPCs. I think Lucatiel was pretty cool. I thought the Mullen...
But dude...
Strayed was probably the most interesting... So here's the thing, though. Strayed...
His voice actor was Frampton Koth from the first game.
Oh, wow. So, actually, now that you say that, I can hear that. And I think he was cool, but he was so cheap. He was so on the nose and easy. He's one of those, like, anti-hero type guys that they put in games or movies to make people say, that guy was really cool. And I feel like a lot of people in the game were that type. Like, they all just relied on something that you already knew, because I think a lot of them, they had no development whatsoever, with the exception of one or two. And they were all just very simple and one-dimensional. And it's like, how are you possibly going to make fucking lore videos out of this stuff? What are you going to do, Vaati? What are you going to do?
Yeah, it's like Gilligan.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's an angry pirate. He's a drunk. And he's not to be trusted, except that you pay him once for a ladder, and he does it really well, and you have good dealings with him for the entire game.
Why does that guy get a cutscene? Why is there a cinematic of him placing that ladder?
I know, because they didn't want to waste the money on the mocap. That's exactly why.
Of putting a ladder down? What the deuce?
It's fucking...
Best cutscene.
Oh my god. That is inexplicable.
Yeah.
And there's a second one.
And another one. Yeah. No, I know. Another NPC that I really don't like, and I felt he was fucking pointless, was Benhart.
Yeah, he was awful. He's awful.
What the fuck does he do?
Nothing. He's there as a fucking as an homage to Onion Bro from the first game. I'm in quite the pickle.
He was a terrible love child of Sigmire and who's in the first one? Who was the Bjor in the first one. It's Bjor meets Sigmar.
Oh, yeah. It's...
Yep. And he's just going, look at my fucking cool sword. I bet you recognize
exactly.
this. This is the Moonlight Greatsword. Oh, you killed me? Turns out, fuck you, it's
Right.
not the real one.
It's the beer sword.
Yeah.
Blue Moon.
Oh my god, yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
Distributed by my
Oh.
company. You're welcome. Okay. Owned by Miller Coors. Okay. So, I was gonna say something, but I had to plug my inept bullshit. So, what did I want to say?
We were talking about NPCs.
Vengarl.
Oh, Vengarl. Sure.
Vengarl. Vengarl fucking sucks. He's
Yeah, I don't-
bland, he's
They
one-dimensional.
all are. Why do you have to call him out?
Yeah,
Call them
yeah,
all
but-
out.
But Vengarl is... No, people like him for the most stupid reason. Oh, he has a cool voice. Dude, he sounds like another guy who's talking really gruff with a London accent.
Watch Game of Thrones.
Thank you. Watch any
Yeah.
Jason Statham movie. He sounds like exactly...
He will kick you apart.
And all he does, his dialogue is, I'm really badass.
Yeah.
That's fucking it. He's the Dark Souls equivalent to Macho Man Randy Savage.
art of conversation. And it's like, please stop. Forget it again and stop talking to me. Because I have to
Yeah, I
keep
know.
mashing
People
the button
complain
to
about
shut you
the-
up.
Yeah, people complain about the Herald. And look at this guy just
Yeah,
chatting away. He doesn't even have lungs to talk
I swear to
all
God,
that
he's
shit.
got one dialogue sequence that is like 11 button presses to get through it. It goes on and on and on.
It is. It's like, I used to be a badass. I got a sword that made me a badass. I was big and I was a badass.
My body? Watch
Then my
out for
head
that
got
shit,
shot.
because he's a badass.
Then my head got cut off, but I'm still kind of a badass.
And watch out for my body, which is also badass. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Watch out for my body, which is for some reason in the room after the Duke's Diafragma.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah, where's
Oh
the
my
lore
goodness.
there? Come on.
Oh my goodness.
Vati,
Help!
Vati,
We're
please
waiting.
explain.
Oh man.
Okay, I have one more thing on this list that I
Alright,
don't
cool.
think we've mentioned.
Okay.
We can
Invasion
Oh my
items,
God, invasion items.
expensive
Uh,
and fucking limited if you don't want to buy them in New Game Plus.
can you explain the time sync thing to me? Because I'm not sure how it works.
That's probably because you ran out of
If you want to get any,
items and stopped trying.
Well, no, what?
if you
Ran out of items, ran out of invasion items and stopped trying.
Oh, no, I meant... Oh, no, I thought you meant sync, like... I thought you had an answer for a second to the driven away from host or whatever. I still haven't found, why does that message appear? I still don't know.
I don't know either.
Is
I think
that...
I think it's a disconnect thing, honestly.
Because I heard there was a time limit. People are probably screaming at me like, no, you moron, it's a time limit.
I've
Like,
never
I'm
seen
not
that one
sure.
either.
It's like 10, 15 minutes, but I've been driven away from the world before that. I
Oh,
think that's
really?
if something goes wrong with your internet connection and theirs at the same time. I don't know. I think it's a network
Yeah, they
thing,
just
honestly.
disguised it.
Okay.
But what I mean by the time sync is if you want to get any invasion items and you can't buy them, then you have to either go farm them, which is fucking unreliable, or you have to go farm them again in the arena, where you only get one at a time. And it's such a time sink. They're 10,000 souls each. By the way, you will be lucky to get 10,000 souls from winning an invasion, so winning one invasion doesn't pay for your next one.
Can't you only get those in New Game Plus, too?
In an
Did you already say
unlimited
that?
quantity, yeah.
To buy them.
Oh,
Yeah,
wait, no,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
God damn it.
So what I was thinking to kind of half fix that is keep things the same as they are, which are kind of shit, but I think the level 3 reward for the Brotherhood of Blood and the Royal Sentinels.
Blue Sentinels.
Sorry, the Sentinels of the Blue Sentinels, sorry.
Yeah.
Should be whatever you get at that level, like Great Chaos Fireball and Wrath of the Gods, and an infinite invade orb, because I think that would be okay, you've proven yourself as one of the best of us. Here's this sacred item that we only have 2 of.
Yeah.
You know? So, you know, you've proven yourself, you've won 500 fucking arena matches without a loss. Let's just see you invade now, because you've earned that right. I think that'd be a good reward, personally.
And let me just say, I love the aura thing. That thing
I do think
badass.
the aura is pretty the aura is pretty cool. Like, aside
I like the blue
aside
one a lot
from all
better.
the stupidity it represents, it is pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm a big thing on, like, with the Souls games in particular, but I guess this is a general thing. I'm big on aesthetics. Like, the little things, like, about your player character, about, like, how you move throughout the world. Because ultimately, like, when I play a game and I'm a character, I'm like, this is me. Like, I deliberately, not even deliberately, like, subconsciously, like, I don't even control it. I insert myself into the game. And, I mean, I think I probably enjoy games more like that, but it's really cool to see small things that, like, change what I see as myself in that game more badass. Like, that's totally cool with me. But go ahead. I know I interrupted. Sorry. Paul.
Yeah,
Interrupted
who was
who?
talking?
Paulie.
Yeah.
I was?
You. Yeah,
I don't believe so. I threw out the comment about the auras are cool despite the stuff behind. But so okay, we'll riff on the invasion. Yeah, it is a pain in the ass, and it is no wonder that you go through. I mean, like, to this day, with all the people that have picked up this game, all the people that are still playing this game, I bet you'll be invaded one time on your way to New Game Plus. One time, not counting the belfries or whatnot, but it is such an absent part of the game, which is
Yeah.
Even when Hero and I were doing our co-op run, I mean, how many times did we get invaded? You know, like less than
Under
10,
10
right?
times.
Yeah.
Yeah, under 10 times.
The whole game while waiting for summon signs and stuff in every area.
That was a
only
new
got-
game.
That was a new game plus 3.
Yeah.
So and we were on max tier for half of it. So I mean, we were like up there with the people that would be invading. You know, the people that, you know, have been invaded. Like we were like prime time for fucking invasions.
Yeah.
And nope.
I think part of that is the fact that I was on my NAT settings on my phone, like, kind of make me moderate so that you can't get an open NAT on a phone connection.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But there's that. But then there's also, I've played with open on my landline, even though it's shitty, and I've gotten about the same amount of contact with people with the same soul memory. So it feels kind of empty.
Yeah, it seems really empty. I mean, it's a lot of times it feels like if you were to go back and play Demon's Souls, you might get the occasional invasion, but it is not a regular occurrence. And a lot of it, I think we touched on that earlier too, that there's just why would you do it? Because you're just going to show up and probably get your ass beat by a host and 2 other phantoms. And so there's like the glory element that you can make good YouTube videos and say, like, see, I gank spanked. But I mean, like, for most of us, I can't really do that. When I kill multiple opponents in Dark Souls 2, it's an event. It is definitely a rarity. It is not the norm. And there's no reason for me to do it. It actually costs me a shit ton to do it. And it just, I don't know.
Yeah, I think this game, more than any of the Souls games, would be the one to have an easy to get unlimited invasion items, since they're going back to what you said now about 2 hours ago, about the how invaders are treated as normal enemies now. I mean, I think, and when you go to New Game Plus, they add phantoms on you that are more difficult, and I think that they would incentivize, like, getting that extra enemy, because now it's just a regular fucking enemy with better quote-unquote AI being the person.
Like, if we're gonna die so fast, don't give us so few opportunities to die really fast.
Yeah,
you know?
they shit on the whole invasion mechanic. I mean, they did.
And it is such a signature piece of the franchise too. For them to just sabotage it like this is just I don't know. That again, I feel like the team just doesn't get it.
Yeah.
New game invasions, just they plainly do not exist except for people using the Mega Mule. And I think if people want to use the Mega Mule to invade a new game, go right the fuck ahead.
Yeah.
I really like that.
No one else will be doing it.
If it will mean that people get a little bit excited or scared, or they go, oh shit, this person's broken into my world in new game in my first playthrough.
They'll be like, oh yeah, you can get invaded in this game.
Yeah, that too. And then they'll go, what's that like? And then they'll get two-shotted and go, oh.
Right.
That was annoying, but it was exciting, at least.
Yeah.
My heart's all aflutter.
And I think, new game invasions, they just need to happen more often. They just have to. Because how many people, honestly, do you think that, the people that you invade usually in the first Dark Souls and Demon Souls, you invade them and they're on their first playthrough and they get really scared,
Mm-hmm.
And
I know
just
I
a
was,
casual
especially
player.
with Demon Souls.
They get through to the end of the game and then they go, well, I'm done with the game. I'm not going to play anymore. So there's just no player pool moving on from new game to new game plus. It's like university graduates, like a lot of people are graduating, but there's not enough jobs to go around, so they just end up sitting around, put their degree away, and they don't do anything with it.
Playing Dark Souls.
Yeah. I think the replayability of this game is way worse than any of the other games in a lot of different ways, and I feel like I've said this a couple times going to like me, like my channel in particular. Like I've always said I'm not a Souls channel, but the reason why there's so much Souls compared to everything else, and pretty much like 95% of my shit is Souls games, is because I think the replayability value for these games is fucking nuts compared to everything else. So, I don't, like, now I've discovered, like, it doesn't even work for a Souls game. I don't like recording blind runs, because that's like a personal experience to me. So I like games that allow me to play them over and over again, so I can be like, now that I have my experience, I can share future ones with YouTube, with people, and, whatever. And I don't think this game will have that lasting effect that the previous two did, because this game seems so in your face, it's hard to, like, mix things up.
It's long, too. It's
too
long. It's way too long.
Yeah.
I think.
I personally didn't like the very end when you had to, like, when you're at Drangleic Castle, and then you left for a bit, and then you came back for the final boss. I didn't like that, actually. I mean, that's...
Yeah, why do we have
I
to
can't
go
even
and kill
tell you why. Yeah.
Lord?
No
Again?
idea.
Because they have to make the bridge for you.
Oh, no,
man.
so didn't... I think this is our another call out to Body. He just put a video out on that. Because I guess, because there's all these wards in place with the, what are they, the Milfinito, who sing, and their singing keeps the entities that are fueled in dark at bay. And of course, Nashandra is nothing but dark. So she can't actually go down into like the Shrine of Amana and any of that kind of stuff to... So, okay.
Yeah. Epic Namebro mentioned that in his Let's Play thing too. Yeah.
That was it. That's literally the explanation. His interpretation.
That doesn't reference the Giant Lord, though.
Yeah, that's true. What do you...
The Giant Lord's in the memory. So you
have to go and get an item from him, the Giant's kinship or something.
Yeah.
And what does the kinship item actually do, apart from being a flag, like for the game to go, oh, yeah, sorry, I'll move Nashandra to the boss room now.
Yeah.
Because that's all I found what it was.
And it's apparently
it's
a
just
key.
a gate.
It has the key icon.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah, there's again, like, this is sort of like a reoccurring theme. Like, it either left me wanting more, or it's like wasted potential. Like, a lot of these things are one or the other for me. And fucking, it's like example after example. And like, I don't mean to be so negative because like this whole video is what 2 hours and 22 minutes now of us bitching, and it's like I like the game, I do, like I really like playing the game, and I can't tell you like why in as great detail as I'm telling you things I don't like. It's really weird.
I like it. I in my wavering days of good and bad, I actually had a good couple of days with it. And in thinking about it, you know what? I don't think I like the game at all. It feels too long. It feels boring. PvE feels boring. But what I really like about it is the same thing that I like in Dark Souls and in Demon Souls, is just sort of the prospect of putting a new character together and having all these opportunities available in terms of what weapons you want to use. Do you want to be magic or miracles or hexes or melee or whatever it is that you want to do? There's all this variety, and there's enough variety to keep me interested for a little bit. So I'm thinking about builds and saying like, oh, what if I mixed this weapon with this infusion and also casted, you know, whatever. So there's enough to keep me interested, but then where I would normally take those builds out into PvP, I find myself waning in interest. So it's kind of like I like the imagination part of it in terms of pulling these new builds out of the air and saying like, oh, let's make this character, and then you make them and it's sort of like, all right, now it's time to make another one. And I don't, it's not sustaining. It doesn't feel rewarding in the same way that putting a character together in the prior two does to me.
Yeah, because when you made a character before, it was always sort of like you had a goal behind making it. Now it's just like you're making a character to play the whole really long game again in New Game Plus. Like, that's, like, it's really what you said. Like, it's a PvE game now. Like, that's what they want you to do.
I think it's actually a shitty PvE game. Like, in the same way, like, when I was talking about how they just exaggerated sort of the surface, the shallow examples of what made Dark Souls a success. I feel like they did that with lore and item descriptions, too. Whereas in the first one, like, I feel like there was actually stuff to discover. You would progress through the game and learn things about the world and unlock mysteries and read item descriptions and be like, oh, shit, I didn't know that. Whereas in this one, everything is just kind of overly simplistically cryptic. It's just kind of like, this is a sword from a faraway land that may or may not have a magical power, but who's to say? Could it be you? And you're kind of like, get the fuck off it. And they're just, exactly.
Shit
and
sold.
it's like, it doesn't feel like you're uncovering anything. And there's no motivation to advance what little story there is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
I mean,
like,
oh,
go ahead.
Sorry. Like with the with going along with like item descriptions, the old knight stuff, like the old knight greatsword, when you like pick it up and it goes like, sometimes just as the thing falls to pieces, it releases a last great flash of power, and then I swung that thing at a fucking wall. I broke it on an enemy, and I was thinking, is it going to explode? Is it going to snap? It just broke, and that was it. And I was like, oh.
Well, like, what
Fuck's
the fuck?
sake, From.
Yeah, what does that even mean?
Don't lead me on like that, you know? Like, what happens? Like, does my, like, the armor says the same thing?
Says the
like,
same thing.
Does the armor do something? Does it get better when it breaks? No.
Yeah, when I first saw that, I saw it on the armor, and I thought it was going to be sort of like a dragon roar type thing. Like one of those, or like a force or something.
Even if it was just like a small wrath that did like 100 damage or something.
Yeah.
That would be kind of cool. But it's like that.
How about a wrath that did anything less than 2,000 damage? That would be nice.
That's unheard of. But I think it's just another example of the team not getting it. Like the item descriptions were like just cryptic enough to like. The Visionary said earlier, you said that like this stuff can kind of creep into your imagination when you were talking about the Emerald Herald. In Dark Souls 1, or Dark Souls, I guess, the item descriptions did that same thing. They would hint at just enough to make you wonder and make you imagine and sort of just grip you. Whereas in this one, they're just cryptic for the sake of being cryptic.
Yeah, I felt like a good word to describe the first game about, like, without, like, in-depth lore stuff, just basic story components, the world, like the people or creatures you met, things you were fighting. I felt like a good word is captivating. It was sort of an experience, yeah, you were going through. And this, it's like, it seems like obstacles. Like it's routine. It's a game. Like it's not, fuck, I don't even know what to call it. I think they emphasize those gimmicky bullshit elements like difficulty and relying on what the first game had to just
carry.
I mean, yeah. We've said it a million times. It's soulless. It feels emulated. I don't know. Like it all sort of heads home to those two words. That basic description we're giving it with almost every element we talk about the game, and that's, it's frustrating, and especially because like we like some things about the game so much, and we like the first game, and I don't know. And I really like a lot of the elements, especially in co-op. I mean, me and Hero had a fucking blast.
It's fun.
In our co-op playthrough. And
yeah,
especially like with the Skype call, it's fucking awesome. It's
like myself, I hate co-op. Just like, just bringing someone in silent, like not knowing what they're doing, not knowing what their motivations are. Fucking hate it. Absolutely did not co-op much at all in the previous games, but I really liked being able to talk with the person, like not...
Sure.
I wouldn't want to talk with just like a random person that I summon, like with a voice chat thing. I would like to talk with a friend, like I'm taking this night friend with me on an adventure, and that's what it was, and it was fun, and it was just a good time.
It was romantic.
Oh.
Yeah, it was very gay.
Let me tell you, there was a lot of gesturing.
Yeah, we had to cut a lot of stuff out. Yeah, you're going to get a director's cut version later on.
Oh, God.
With all the grisly, lovely,
everybody running
sexy details in there.
Oh, God. Shut up.
Yeah, but I wouldn't like to do that. Just, like, I don't like co-oping normal.
With the random, yeah.
There are some parts of this game that I really fucking love. It was just... It's disappointing because, we both... you both and I, we both love the game. We love the game so much that it hurts to see all those things that are so wrong with it at the same time, Like, this is IP that we love so much, yet it's been handled by a B team, like, by people that
it's the red-haired
think would care about it. Sorry?
It's the red-haired stepchild.
Yeah.
It's the Macross 2 of the series.
It's clumsy.
No.
Yeah. But it's a good game.
Yeah, but that's the problem. Like, I play good games, and then when I beat them, I don't play them anymore. Like, with
Yeah.
Dark Souls, it's like, it's a great game, and I play it because it's still great. Like, like when you read a really good book, and then you read it like 7 years later, you sort of relate to it in new ways.
Yeah.
In a much shorter time span. I felt like Dark Souls 1 did that. There was a lot to do, even though, like, it had less than what Dark Souls 2 has, like, amount-wise. And Dark Souls 2 is sort of like... not good. I don't know. it doesn't,
concise.
It doesn't do that. Yeah, it's like a really long graphic novel. Like, you have all these pages and you got the art, but they're saying 6 words.
And the art's really good.
Yeah, and they're saying 6 words a page. Like, you're not getting substance, even though it has so much in it. Ha! I pulled the fucking analogy back.
That was solid.
What's up?
That was well done. I'm with you.
Woo! All right. So can I go to bed now? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, we've been talking for a while.
2.5 hours.
A little bit.
So
okay, and we've pretty much
call this
bitched
thing,
at everything.
The The whale is slowly suffocating.
So
All right,
let's
I think that's a good note to end it on.
yeah,
So-
Cool.
wrap
Yeah,
it up.
Thank you
absolutely.
guys for having a chat again. It was real nice.
Always fun, sir. Sirs.
Yeah,
So
okay.
Sirs.
one of us.
Well, it's always fun to talk to Hero for hours and hours and hours.
Oh yeah, completely.
And you, Polly, you're alright.
Alright, thanks.
You're alright. Yeah. No, I was kidding.
Yeah, Polly, you're okay. You're okay. We'll take a spin on the love
Nice,
train that we had
okay.
last time.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
All right. So thank you everybody for joining us. Please, if you for some reason are watching this and you're not subscribed to Polly, go get subscribed to him. He's got fantastic content. And Justin as well. If for some reason you were not subscribed to Justin, please go subscribe to him. Follow him on Twitter. He's very gay there.
Yep.
And
I
You know,
told
follow-
the world that I wanted to lick Hero's nipples yesterday on Twitter.
it was enchanting.
Yeah, it was enthralling. It was a great read.
I bet.
Okay, we're done.
Yeah. Bye everyone.
Bye. Bye.